Boy Club. This is out of the whole 6 books. It's just a summary of like the names of the couples, the summary of each couple's like story before actually getting to spoilers, and just telling you what the general feel is and if you want to read it and what it offers. Jessica Clare's the Billionaire Boy Club. I read each book in order. They're very quick to get into, you quickly read through it. It feels like every time I've finished one of these books, when it comes to the end, I'm like, I need more of this couple, and it really annoys me in a good way, because when I get to the next book I know it's a completely different couple and I just wish that she would add on more. I wish she could do like 2 books of each couple, because there's not enough. I want even more once they get through all that stuff in that first book to get to like the extra good stuff. Like in a book series you normally have a couple sometimes when they have all this build up, when they're not together they become friends, and then they are, and they have break up and they go through hell and they get back together, and then like they have a book right at the end where it's just about all the good stuff when they finally get married, have babies, and it's just like just general happy stuff, like they go shopping together or lay in bed all day and they just have happy moments, just the random books moments that you don't need, that you just love because they're just there, so you feel like just like a lazy Sunday, if you know what I mean, like that, where nothing needs to happen in a book, it's just there for fun because you want the extra added on bits, and we don't get enough of that in this book series. So that's a warning. If you like me and you want just the added bits of the couple, you probably won't be getting that. I'm just going to turn this over because I'm not facing the camera and it's probably looking funny because my eyes are like here and not there, and they should be, so now they should be normal. Yeah, so first couple, I actually can't remember their names. I think his name was Logan, the guy who's the billionaire, and the girl's name was Bonty, I'm pretty sure. In this book series, each book's kind of like based on a couple that we've all kind of heard of. I think every single one is, but I don't know every couple that's like from a fairy tale or Disney, so I probably don't know like 4 of them. The first one I think is to do with like Cinderella and, you know, the prince. But it's in like a billionaire form instead of like the actual character. They tweak it and make it into, she makes it into her own. So I think it's meant to be like Cinderella and the prince basically. And Bonte's Cinderella, obviously. She's a poor girl who works in a cafe, and yeah, I can't remember everything. I need to reread the books really. And obviously she's basically like Cinderella. She works really hard. She doesn't have a lot of money. She's not a virgin though. She's had sex with a guy before. She ends up going with some of her friends, and it's like one of those holidays where, you know, you can win a trip to like a holiday abroad or something, and she gets it really cheap. So she like, I think she like wins it. I can't remember, I think she wins the trip, or she might have got it on like a special offer and got it really cheap, where you like go to like Butlins or something, where you go to like a really cheap B&Q, like a holiday resort, but you have like the cheapest rooms and you don't get like all the posh food and room service sort of thing. So, but you can stay with all the rich people. It's like going to Titanic sort of thing. If you've seen the movie Titanic, it's like you got the first class, second class, third class, and that, you know, it's a big fancy first class ship, but they divide you into different classes sort of thing. So it's like that, but it's modern age. It's like today date, not Titanic date. But I'm just trying to get you to understand, if you can understand. So then the prince guy, who's Logan, he's a billionaire, and he's the first guy of the first book. Obviously she's the first girl and he's the first guy you get introduced to the series, and he explains that it starts when he's 10. You get the basics that he's in a secret society with these, like, I think it's 6, isn't it? It's 6 books, 6 guys in the secret society, and they're like brothers, even though they're not related. They just call them that because they're so close friends. They act like brothers and family, and none of them are married. None of them think they will be. They all think that they're basically all like rich playboys, basically. Most of them, except from the Hunt, I wouldn't say he's a playboy, or Cade. So I'll say 4 of them are kind of playboys, but Cade's the one who's in the last book, the 6th one. He's not really, but you get introduced to them all. You get parts of them all in this book anyway, not from their point of view, but the character of the main girls, like the one that's Cinderella, who's what's her name, Bonty. She becomes friends with the second girl who's gonna be in the second book, so they kind of like add up and come together, if you know what I mean. And all the other guys who are in the secret society, you see while they're friends, they do hang out, so you get to know them before they actually have their book based on them. So it's not like they just randomly pop up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a part of the society too. So you do get like the backstory anyway. So, but they focus on one of the guys and one of the girls each, and the girls have nothing to do with the secret society until the end. They get their own like a secret society. They have their own like girls' room. But the girls are completely random. They don't all live in the secret society is based in New York. This is where all the 6 billionaires live. But the girls all like not of them all live in New York. Like Bonte does, who's from the second one, but and so does the third one. She's the sister. Like some 3 of the girls are related, but one of the girls doesn't end up with the guy. It's really complicated, but I'm making it worse than I. But anyway, I'm going to just focus on this one because I'm just making it more complicated for you. I'm just trying to get you to know what it is. But anyway, Bonte goes with some of her friends. She goes to this island, and it's the hotel resort there anyway. And Logan's actually the owner because he's the billionaire, obviously, and he actually owns it. And I think he's just going there because I can't remember because I read this a while ago, but I think he's taken over his dad's company. He's been doing it for years, but it was his dad's, I think, and he's really rich and he doesn't care about love and babies and marriage, whatever. But he actually is a good, decent guy. He's a bit of a jerk sometimes, but that comes with being a billionaire to most guys, unlike Hunter, but he can be a jerk too, but in a different way. He has reasons for being that way. It's complicated. But anyway, so he ends up going there to his resort, and he obviously has like the best room and all the service, and it's quite an interesting story. It's not what you ever expect for a love story. What happens basically, there's like an earthquake or something like that, and it hits the island, and there's a screaming, and all the electric goes off, and you know, like it's like I said, it's like the Titanic again. Like when the iceberg hits the Titanic, and like everyone like runs away and trying to get to safety. So it's kind of like that. And what happens is Logan is going to, I think he was going to his room for something, or he was going down, because he goes in the elevator and he gets in it, and of course Bonte, the Cinderella character, she goes on there. I can't remember why, but I'm pretty sure her friend like left her wallet or something in like the hotel room, and she asked Bonte to go and get it, so she did, and they said they wait for her, and they get stuck in the elevator obviously because the power cut stops, and you know, because the electric's off, the elevator can't go up or down, and yeah, so then they end up having to bond, and they're stuck in this little room, and they have like no food. I think that Bonte had like 2 chocolate bars or something. I'm sure they had something to eat. It was like some kind of bar. I really need to reread this. I know the basics, but I can't remember every single detail. I obviously can't do a book review of it right now, so I can't remember every detail of it. But obviously they had to meet, and she ends up telling him about herself. He's kind of like, right at this moment, he's kind of like, why are you talking to me, you stranger? He's very like closed off and keeping his walls up and not really like responding to her, but she's just like scared and lonely. She's like, well, we're stuck in here, so we might as well talk and get to know each other, which makes complete sense. So she's like telling him about her name, where she's from, that she's poor, and she only got to come here because she like won it, or it was really low price or whatever. And of course he's the owner, she doesn't know this, and he ends up lying to her and says that he works here. Or I think he said that he was a like the receptionist or something. He said that he was part of the staff, so that because she didn't know who he was. I think he actually thought for one second that she would know who he was, because he's all over the internet. Like, he's not a singer or anything, but you know, you can, I don't do it, but you can find out he's like the richest people alive, and they are known to like the rich people and stuff. Some people know them. I know about artists and like Justin Bieber and Rihanna and, you know, famous actors and stuff, but I don't really pay attention to rich billionaires because they don't do things publicly that are on social media. I mean, they do, but not as much as famous people who do that as their career. You know, billionaires are just people with lots of money for some reason, wherever they got it from, or if it's in their career or whatever. So it's a bit different, but even though they are on the same scale, it's still like their 180 difference on the 360 degrees, if you know what I mean. So she doesn't know who he is. Obviously she wouldn't, because she doesn't really pay attention to like rich people because she's poor. So he ends up kind of just lying to her and saying that they're kind of the same. Like, yeah, I work here. I think he's trying to make out that he's like level with her, and he's thinking to himself, there's a lovely girl beside me, and she doesn't know who I really am. She doesn't know I'm rich. She doesn't know that I own this resort. So why not just actually get to be a normal guy for once? That's what I think he was looking at, if I remember. He thought this was his like only chance, where they were completely alone and they were stuck, so he could just pretend to just be an ordinary guy. And this girl gets to know him as the Logan that he is, not the billionaire or whatever, you know. So It was nice. They end up getting out of the elevator eventually. They help each other and stuff. They end up like falling asleep together and cuddling, whatever. But there was chemistry between them straight away. I really liked them, and I liked the whole game that he was playing with her. Even though I understand when she finds out that she's mad, but I understand why he was doing that. You know, why not? If you're a rich billionaire, if you're a girl or boy, why not try and get someone to know you for just who you are and not why you do it? It's like a white lie. So it makes sense, and it's a really good decision for a book. So they end up getting out, and they realise that they're all on their own on the island. Like, everyone obviously got away for safety, and there was helicopters or something, they got away, but they were stuck, so they couldn't. So they go and look for food, and they go in the store and everything, and he owns everything in that store. He owns all the food, he owns every single thing. It's all bought with his money. There's stores within the resort. There's like a jewelry shop, you know, it's sort of like when you go to an airport. Same as like resorts, when you go to a holiday, they have like Starbucks and McDonald's around you sometimes, and they end up stealing like some clothes to wear, and it kind of like reminds me of like the Walking Dead sort of thing, you know, where the world, like the whole, just imagine like the whole world going, where everyone's like kind of disappeared, and there's, you're just in like small groups of people, and there's no like police officers or fire engines, so you can kind of go and get a gun or stay in someone's house or go and rob a store because there's no laws anymore, but it's just on an island. The whole world's fine, but it's brilliant, and they end up getting food and in the kitchen and stuff, and he can't cook for himself and everything because he's a really rich like guy, and she sees this piece of jewelry and she really wants it, and he wants her to have it and she won't because it looks so expensive, and what about if you get in trouble because you work here and whatever. So, but he can't tell her, I actually own it, so it's okay. So they end up going for a swim, as I remember, and I think they go skinny dipping, if I recall, and that's when they have sex for the first time. I'm pretty sure it was on the beach because there's no one there, and they both like keep thinking, we're on our own on a complete island, why not have some fun, you know, because they ain't got each other to entertain each other without any internet, no TV and electric and stuff. So they end up having sex, obviously, and they kind of like develop this like more than friends with benefits relationship. It's like where they know that they like each other, but they're not confirmed as a relationship, because you wouldn't, it's a bit crazy to do that when you're stuck on the island. So a lot more other stuff happens, obviously, and stuff, and they finally do get rescued, and they do like have sex and kiss, and he kind of like plans like a little date for her, and she says really sweet stuff, and he really likes that this girl completely thinks that he's just a regular guy, and she treats him like just any other guy, and he actually kind of really realises that when he gets off the island, he doesn't want to lose her, he wants her to be his, and he knows that she's going to be okay, that he's going to be a billionaire because he'll be able to take care of her. But obviously he doesn't think of it as in her shoes, that it's like he's been keeping a secret from her, which is bad. But he ends up getting like his helicopter to come and save him because he's an important person, so they need one of his helicopters to come and rescue him. And there's I can't remember what is said, but they like have a hint when her and him get in the elevator, because it's like one of he's the man, Logan owns the man, he's like his boss or friend who's driving the airplane. And he's like, who's this chick? And he's like, I love a girl I met on the way on the island or whatever. And he's like, oh how? And he's like, doesn't she know who you are? And he's like, yeah, Logan, why did they come and rescue you? You work here. So obviously his friend twigs on that she doesn't really know who he is, and Logan's just like over the moon thinking they're finally going to be together, and she's going to know the truth. So he takes her to one of his like houses or apartment, like the penthouse in like, I'm pretty sure it was New York, and she ends up finding out that he's really rich and he lied to her, and she's obviously upset, so she ends up leaving, and so she ends up leaving without him seeing, and he should have explained, because he kind of just like blew it on her like, yeah, I'm a rich billionaire and we're going to be together and I'm going to take care of you, just go and sleep, and he kind of leaves because he's got business to deal with. Personally, I think he should have basically just said, look, I know I lied to you, but I want to just be an ordinary guy, I really want you to date me, you know, not like make it like it's just going to happen because he thinks he can get whatever he wants. And she's really outspoken herself, she doesn't let people walk over her, so it's good that he finds someone that can put him in his place, basically. So she ends up leaving the place without him knowing. He soon finds out, and she ends up leaving, and she goes back to work, and then he thinks the way to get to her is to buy the diner that she works at, and he becomes a new boss. And then she kind of thinks, she obviously thinks it's a jerk mood, and you can't just buy a place where I work so that you can control me. But they end up, I think they end up having sex in the cool room when they're alone. and he ends up finally like breaking her down, saying that we're going to be together, and it does. It's good. They end up becoming a couple. She ends up staying at his apartment and that sort of stuff, and he takes her to one of the balls, and obviously you get to get introduced to some more of the other brothers of the secret society, and she meets Logan's like ex-girlfriend or fiance, whatever it was, and she puts all these words in not Bethany, what's her name, Blondie's head, like he doesn't really care about you. Did he say this to you? Does he do this to you? Because he did it to me, and it means he doesn't care about you. So basically he's just using her as his latest thing. She gets hurt, and she ends up telling him that she loves him, and he doesn't say it back. And his friends at secret society end up basically telling him, is she using you for your money because he's a billionaire? But she's never made any reason to make him think that she's just using him for his money. She didn't even know he was rich, but some reason he gets this idea in his head that she might be using him for his money only, doesn't care about him for real, and doesn't think she really loves him. So he comes up with this like little scam to try and prove that she doesn't want him for his money, but it backfires because he ends up trying to like put money on her basically. I can't remember what it was. He like offered her something like which had loads of money, like he was trying to buy her, but he was only doing it to see if she would accept it, and then he would know that she only wanted him for his money. And then she gets furious and says she doesn't want anything to do with his money basically, and he's so happy. He's like, she does want me for me, she doesn't care about my money. But obviously it's like a dick move because he didn't look at how bad it would look to her, and she just gets really pissed off and she ends up leaving him. And then he really regrets it and realises that he shouldn't have done that. He should have believed in her, because now he's lost the girl that he loves who actually cared about him for him. And she ends up staying with what's her name from the second book, who's in the second one though, not Bonte, it's I think it's Gretchen, I'm pretty sure it's that. She's a redhead, she's in New York, she's in the second book, she's the girl that ends up with a billionaire in the second book. And obviously Bonte leaves Logan because she's been living with him, and she has nowhere to stay, so she ends up phoning the girl from the third book, who's actually Bonte. The girl in the second book, I'm making it complicated, I'm trying to explain. Gretchen, who's from the second book, which is Beauty and the Billionaire, who ends up with Hunter, Bonte ends up phoning her sister, who's from the third book, because she's Logan's assistant, and she meets the guy that she's going to be with in the third one. I think his name was Reese, he's the proper playboy. So she ends up phoning Logan's, because she actually becomes really good friends with Logan's assistant, so she phones her, and then his assistant says that she has a sister who lives in New York, who's the girl from the second book, if this is making sense, who's Gretchen, and she has a small apartment, and I'm sure you could stay there, and I think she has to pay rent, and she has an ugly cat. So Bonte ends up crashing with her, and then I think she gets a new job, and Logan doesn't know where she is, but they end up like patching things up but not getting together, and they do like the normal step-by-step relationship thing. So they go out on dates and they get to know each other like two regular people before they jump back into their relationship, and they're taking it slow, and then eventually they end up having sex again, and then he wakes up and assumes because they had sex that they're officially back together. But Bonte ends up saying, no, it's not, just because we had sex again that doesn't mean together, and that really hurts him. And I can't remember what else happens, but they end up getting back together somehow, and he ends up proposing to her, and she says yes. And it's because he takes her back to the island when it's all been fixed up, and they had the best room, and he proposes to her, and she says yes. And she offers to sign a prenup, and he says that because she offered, that means that he knows that he can trust her and doesn't want one, because she doesn't want him for his money, and they have like a happy ever after. And there was a bit before they got back together in this book where when Bonte was obviously upset because she wasn't with Logan, even though she loved him, but she had every right to not be with him because of what he did, she's with her roommate, who's Gretchen from the second book, and they have a scene, and Gretchen's talking about that she thinks the real heroes of like the fairy tales are the guys that don't love themselves, who have like an ugly face basically. And that's where Hunter actually is, who's like the beast from Beauty and the Billionaire for the second book. So it's set up, and he finds her fascinating that he actually kind of believes that can she actually feel that way. So he ends up finding out that the girl that Gretchen's with is Bonte, so he tells Lucas where she was, and that's how he ended up finding her and getting back together. So then that's when the second book comes into play. I'm going to end this bit here. So this is the summary of, what's it called? I forgot what it's called. Stranded with a Billionaire, I'm pretty sure it is. It's got 2 different book covers though. One's got like a big giant ring on it, and I'm pretty sure there's another one as well. Lots of these books seem to have 2 different book covers for each book. I think it's because one's like the Kindle version, one's the physical book, or because one's the audio book, I'm not too sure. For some reason it has 2 book covers. Maybe one's the English cover and one's the American one, I'm not sure. But yeah, I can't really talk about every single summary of each book because that would just be me talking for like 2 hours. But yeah, I think I'm done doing some videos today because I'm not going to be able to upload all these in one day. So I will be doing some more book reviews tomorrow. So I'm hoping that Cherish will be up by tonight, and I'll probably post these for tomorrow.